Have you tried building a computer lately, or even just priced out some parts? If you have, you've definitely felt it. That sticker shock. That little voice in your head saying, wait, this can't be right. Well, let's get into it because today we're breaking down one of the wildest stories in tech right now, the 2026 RAM crisis, and how the AI boom basically hijacked the hardware right from under our noses. And I'm not talking about a small price bump here. This is a full-blown seismic shift. Just look at these numbers. A standard 32 gig kit of DDR5 RAM, something that would have set you back, $120 a couple years ago, is now going for over $500. That is not inflation, my friends. That is a market that has been turned completely upside down. In fact, people in the industry have a pretty dramatic name for it. They're calling it the Silicon Ice Age. And honestly, that quote really hits home. It feels like a sudden, deep freeze on affordability that's sending a chill through the entire tech world. So the big question is, what's causing it? Okay, so first, let's really get a handle on just how big this problem is. We're calling this section the Memory Pandemic because, well, its effects are everywhere, and it's a total reversal of everything we thought we knew about hardware prices. You know, for as long as I can remember, there's been one simple golden rule in tech. Stuff gets faster, better, and cheaper over time. Memory was the absolute poster child for this. But that rule, it's broken. For the first time in decades, the price of RAM isn't dropping, it's skyrocketing. And this has some very real consequences for all of us. If you're a PC builder, 16 gigs of RAM is suddenly the mid-range standard again, which feels like a trip back in time. Thinking about 64 gigs for video editing or some serious gaming, yeah, that's become a total luxury item. And behind the scenes, the big manufacturers have jacked up their contract prices by an insane 60% in a single quarter. Which brings us to the big mystery. What on earth happened? This wasn't some factory fire or a natural disaster. No, this was basically a heist. So, let's put on our detective hats and identify the prime suspect who made off with all the world's affordable memory. So, what's really driving this? Your first thought might be, oh, it's a supply issue, right? They just can't make enough. But here's the twist. That's not it. The world's biggest chip makers are building massive new factories. The problem isn't a lack of supply. It's where that supply is going. The culprits, the mastermind behind this whole Silicon Heist, is the artificial intelligence boom. You know it. The same tech that's powering chatbots and creating incredible images has this absolutely bottomless, insatiable appetite for a very specific and very, very profitable kind of memory. And this right here is the smoking gun. High bandwidth memory, or HBM. Now, this stuff is an engineering marvel. It's incredibly fast, super high-capacity memory that's stacked vertically. It's the absolute lifeblood for AI servers from NVIDIA, Google, you name it. But it is not the kind of RAM that goes into your gaming PC or your smartphone. So why would the big manufacturers switch from making our RAM to making HBM? It all comes down to two simple things: money and space. As you can see here, HBM is just way, way more profitable. But there's a catch. It is a total resource hog. It takes up a massive amount of space on the silicon wafers that are used to make pretty much all computer chips. And this chart illustrates the heist perfectly. For every single HBM chip a company like Samsung or SK Hynix makes, they are giving up the manufacturing real estate that could have produced 3 normal DDR5 chips for you and me. They are literally choosing to sacrifice our supply to feed AI's demand, all because it makes them a boatload more money. Now, you might be thinking, hang on, I've seen this movie before. Memory prices go up, then they come crashing down. And you'd have been right. In the past, that was the old boom and bust cycle. But this time is different. All the analysts are saying it. This isn't just a cycle, it's a permanent structural shift. The demand from AI is so huge and so constant that there is no bust coming over the horizon. The price crash isn't coming. So that brings us to the collateral damage. Because this isn't just a headache for a few PC builders. The real price for AI's endless hunger is being paid by pretty much every single person who buys electronics. And I want to be really clear about this. If you think this doesn't affect you because you don't build computers, think again. The shockwaves from this are spreading out and hitting everything. Every device with a chip in it is starting to feel this squeeze. Just take a look at this breakdown. For PC gamers, those next-gen GPUs like the RTX 50 series are facing delays and price hikes because their memory is so expensive. Console players? Get ready for tech shrinkflation, where new consoles might actually ship with less RAM just to keep the price from getting out of control. And for phones, we're actually seeing things go backwards. Budget phones are returning to just 4 or 8 gigs of RAM. Okay, so the situation looks pretty grim. I get it. But you are not helpless. And that brings us to our final section, your 2026 survival guide. How do you actually navigate this brand new, super expensive market? So, what can you actually do? Well, first things first, you have to throw out the old playbook. All the strategies that worked for buying hardware a few years ago, they're going to cost you a fortune now. It is time to adapt and learn how to build smart in this new era. Here are the 3 new rules to live by. Number 1, do not wait for a price drop. Seriously, all the projections show prices are just going to keep climbing. If you need RAM, buy it now. 2, focus on latency over frequency. A kit with a lower CAS latency, or CL, will often give you better real-world bang for your buck than one with a super high frequency. And 3, the refurbished market is your new best friend. The secondary market is now the best place to find anything close to sane 2023 level price. And this quote right here just sums it all up perfectly. It is the single most important piece of advice I can give you. Unlike the good old days, waiting for the dip is now officially a losing strategy. The game has fundamentally changed. So that's the whole story of the 2026 RAM crisis. It's a fascinating and kind of scary look at how fast things can change. But it leaves us with a much bigger, maybe even more unsettling question for the future. We just saw AI's demand claim the silicon that makes our computer memory. So what part of our hardware and our digital lives will its insatiable appetite come for next?